The Empty Chairs campaign is a collective feminist campaign that we started last year to really draw attention to the ways in which the chairs in UN decision-making spaces and UN human rights spaces, like the Human Rights Council, are empty when it comes to civil society and just the people of the world. And that's always been the case, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, that's been even more the case with the health and travel restrictions that have been put in place. We want to demand a People's Council, a People's Human Rights System, where the focus is not on states and their power and their political interests, but really on people's interests, and where ordinary people across the world can participate and make decisions that are then implemented by political leaders.
Creo que en algún momento el sistema global de derechos humanos fue una promesa y una esperanza de que los estados iban a acceder a rendir cuentas, a presentarse para responder por sus acciones y que las personas iban a tener espacios y mecanismos donde poder plantear las violaciones de derechos humanos que estaban padeciendo. Y creo que, desafortunadamente, con el paso de los años, esa promesa y esa esperanza se fueron diluyendo.
It's very difficult for activists who have little knowledge of the workings of the system to get in to advocate for their cause and for their demands, but also to understand where to go, what to do, who you should speak to.
Being physically present in UN buildings is another barrier, navigating the buildings, which are very complicated, and then getting to the right rooms on the right time, and then getting a seat at the table, or rather sitting at the back, witnessing what's happening rather than participating in it.
And so when we have these empty chairs, when we have these barriers to entering the spaces, whether it's through visas, whether it's through the ECOSOC process, whether it's through efficiency measures that are restricting civil society participation in the Human Rights Council, what we're really doing is taking away the nuance, taking away the expertise, the technical know-how that civil society is bringing into these spaces and sharing with state parties to ensure that we're all working together for social justice and to change the global and equitable order.
Okay, thina siyama-survivor we-rape and siyama-survivor akhona ngaphakathi e-South Africa. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi thina sifika kanjani ku-Women's Rights Council and thina iy'khalazo zethu kukuphi la sizozithola khona, la sizozithula khona bese siyaziwa bese siyaphenduleka.
The United Nations is ultimately accountable to us, the people. And I think that in this particular moment in history, it's a really interesting opportunity and a really important moment for us to rethink multilateralism and what multilateralism means. Does it continue to be a state-led initiative? Does it continue to be an intergovernmental space? Or can we really reshape it and reconfigure it so that it's an intergovernmental space that is ultimately, really, honestly accountable to the people?
When I think of a People's Council and when I think of a Human Rights Council that works, that's about our activists going to these spaces, working with these spaces, working with UN experts, working with the policies, the words, to tell the truth.
There is space for improvement, and we should seek that improvement the best way that we can. So I hear a conversation when I hear People's Council.